Now next we are going to discuss is arch expansion as method of gaining space. Now as the topic explains itself that we have to do the arch expansion in order to gain the space. Now the expansion of the dental arches can be classified as dental expansion, skeletal expansion or passive expansion. So they can be classified into the slow expansion or rapid expansion. Now the orthodontic or dental expansion. Remember, this type of expansion is produced by various removable expansion plates and conventional fixed appliances. So this type of expansion results in lateral tipping of crown and lingual tipping of the roots. Now skeletal expansions, the changes are skeletal in nature rather than mere tipping of the teeth buccally. So this type of expansion is rapid maxillary expansion. This type of expansion will result in the separation of the mid-palatine sutures. And whereas the passive expansion is produced by shielding of the buccal and the labial mucosa with resultant expansion of the arches. So this type of expansion is not produced by the extrinsic forces but rather than the result of intrinsic forces such as produced by intrinsic activities or muscles like tongue. Now why do you need a maxillary expansion? The first is crossbite. Maxillary expansion is routinely undertaken for the correction of the posterior crossbite. So they are used to treat bilateral crossbite involving the buccal teeth, or they can be used to treat in certain selected cases for the relief of mild crowding. Now expansion along with the functional appliance treatment. Myofunctional appliances are commonly used in the treatment of class 2 malocclusion in the growing patient. So in majority of this patient, it may be required to expand the maxillary arch during the treatment in order to maintain arch coordination as the width area of mandible is advanced in relation to the maxillary dentation. So the amount of expansion required can be estimated by asking the patient to move his mandible forward and bite in edge to edge and noting the size of transverse discrepancy that develops in the buccal segment. Now first we are going to discuss is the rapid maxillary expansion or RME. Rapid maxillary expansion is also known by the term rapid palatal expansion or split palate. So it is a skeletal type of expansion that involves the separation of mid palatal suture and the movement of maxillary shelves away from each other. So there will be separation of the mid palatal suture and the maxillary shelves will be start moving away from each other. Now who is considered as father of rapidly maxillary expansion? Emerson C. Engel is known as father of rapid maxillary expansion. Now let us discuss an applied anatomy for this. The maxilla and the palatine bone together forms the hard palate floor and greater part of the maxillary walls of the nasal cavity. Now maxilla is a paired bone. It articulates with the various other bones like frontal, ethmoid, nasal, lacrimal, vomer, zygomatic and the palatine bone. Remember, most of its sutural attachment of maxilla to adjoining bone are at the posterior and the superior, so leaving the anterior aspect free, so that makes it vulnerable for the lateral displacement. Now remember, the intermaxillary and the interpalatine suture both are collectively known as mid-palatal suture. So remember the key note is that rapidly maxillary expansion should be initiated prior to the ossification of the mid-palatal suture. Next question is, when does this mid-palatal suture growth continues? Remember, the mid-palatal The transfer growth of mid-palatal sutures continue up to 16 years in girls and 18 years in boys. Now, the first step, the clinician should ascertain that the suture is not ossified by this mid-palatal suture is not ossified by using a appropriate diagnostic aids. This indication of rapidly maxillary expansion. So, why do you need a rapidly maxillary expansion? So the posterior bite, cross bite associated with the maxillary deficiency is the prime indication of the rapid maxillary expansion. So, rapid maxillary expansion is also indicated in the cleft palate patients who have collapsed maxillary arch, and they may be indicated along with the reverse pull headgears. So the basic function of these RME devices is to loosen the maxillary suture attachment, so that will facilitate the protection. And also, apart from the dental, they can be indicated in the medical conditions like nasal stenosis, poor nasal airway, recurrent air nasal infections, allergic rhinitis, etc. Now, diagnostic aspects: how to check a mid-palatine suture. The mid-palatine suture can be visualized in maxillary occlusion view through the radiograph. So these radiographs are used during treatment to check the mid-palatal split and estimate the amount of maxillary expansion that is achieved. So what are the effect of these rapid maxillary expansion devices? So the maxillary posterior teeth are used as handle to apply a transverse reciprocal force that opens up the mid-palatal suture. Now the opening of mid-palatal suture, remember, is a fan shape or triangular shape with the maximum opening at the incisal region, and it gradually diminishes toward the posterior part of the palate. So this can be appreciated in post RME occlusal radiograph. So remember, the maximum opening will be toward the oral cavity and less opening toward the nasal aspect. Now, how much expansion can be achieved? Next question is, how much expansion you can achieve with these devices? An increase in maxillary width up to 10 mm can be achieved by the rapid maxillary expansion. So remember, the rate of expansion is 0.2 to 0.5 mm per day. Now the effect on the alveolar bone. Now the alveolar bone in the area adjacent to the anchorage teeth bend slightly. This is due to the resilient nature of the alveolar bone. Now what will be the effect on the maxillary anterior teeth? Now remember, the appearance of midline spacing between the two maxillary central incisor is most reliable evidence of the maxillary separation. So by 3 to 5 months, the midline diastema closes as result of transseptal fiber transtraction. Now what will be the effect on the maxillary posterior teeth? The maxillary posterior teeth are used as anchors during rapid maxillary expansion. So these teeth may show buccal tipping and believed to extrude to a limited extent. And what will be the effect of the mandible? So there will be downward backward rotation of the mandible following rapid expansion. So there will be slight increase in the mandibular plane angle. So there will be increase in the mandibular plane angle. So the reason for the mandible rotation is the extrusion and the buccal tipping of the maxillary molars. Now effect of RME on the nasal cavity. Following a rapid maxillary expansion, an increase in intranasal space occurs due to outer walls of the nasal cavity moving apart, and this increase in nasal cavity is maximum in the inferior region of the nasal cavity, and that decreases the superior aspect, so that will cause, so the airflow resistance is believed to be reduced, and that increases the nasal breathing. Now let us discuss the type of appliance that we use for maxillary expansion. As we discussed, they can be removable appliances or fixed appliances. The fixed appliances can be tooth bone or tooth and the tissue bone. Now first is the removable appliances. Now a removable type of maxillary appliance consists of split acrylic plate with midline screw. The disadvantage of removable rapid expansion appliances are patient cooperation and difficulty in retaining the plate inside the mouth. Now next comes the fixed appliances that are fixed onto the teeth, and they are more reliable and produce a consistent skeleton effect. Now these fixed rapid expander can be classified into tooth or tissue bone. They can be tooth and tissue bone appliances, or they can be tooth bone appliances. The tooth and the tissue bone can be Dirichlet type and Haas type, whereas tooth bone type is Isaacson and Hyrax type. Now we are going to discuss is the Isaacson type. Now first MCQ that you can get is Isaacson is a which type appliance? It is a tooth bone or it is a tooth or tissue bone? The answer will be it is a tooth bone appliance. Now second question you can get is which spring is attached to the Isaacson type? Now the spring is mine expander. The spring is mine expander. Now starting again, Isaacson type is a tooth bone appliance without any acrylic palatal covering. So it has no any acrylic palatal covering. So remember that. You cannot see any acrylic palatal covering in the Isaacson type. The design make use of spring loaded screw. So instead of acrylic, it use a spring loaded screw. You can clearly see this spring loaded screw. This is mine expander. Now the premolars and the first molar are bended. You can clearly see the first premolar and the molars are bended. The metal flanges are soldered onto the bands. The metal flanges are soldered onto the bands of buccal and the lingual side. Now this mine expander consists of a coil spring. So there will be a coil spring having a nut that can compress the spring. So this spring can be compressed. So this coil spring is made to extend between the lingual metal flanges that have been soldered. How to activate this appliance? So the expander is activated by closing the nut so that the spring get compressed. So you can close this spring, the nut, so you can close the nut so the spring will get compressed. So this is the first type, Isaacson type. Now second we are going to discuss is Hyrax type. Now it is this type of appliance make use of special type of screw known as Hyrax. Now the second type is the Hyrax type. This type of appliance make use of special type of screw known as Hyrax, that is hygiene rapid expander. The screw have a heavy gauge wire extension. It has a heavy gauge wire extensions that are adapted to follow the palatal contour and are soldered to band on the premolar and the molar. Now these Hyrax can be bended Hyrax appliance or bonded Hyrax appliance. Now in bended appliance the oral hygiene is facilitated because the gingival coverage is limited, whereas in bonded Hyrax it has a acrylic cap splint that covers the posterior teeth on either side. So you can clearly see the acrylic cap will cover the posterior teeth on the either side. The arms are attached to the cap splint on either side. So these have a wire framework to reinforce the acrylic. Now bonded appliance has been increasingly is popular. The bonded appliance is popular because it can be easily cemented during the mixed dentition period when retention from other appliances can be poor. Now, the occlusion acrylic coverage is 1 to 2 mm in thickness and is kept 1 mm short of the gingival margin, so thereby allowing maintenance of good oral hygiene. Now next is the Derichweiler RME appliance. The wire tags are soldered to premolar and molar bands. So these are incorporated in acrylic plate. So this is the acrylic plate that contains screw in the midline. Other is the Haas type. So this appliance is a rigid appliance that not only transmit forces to the teeth but also to the palatal shelf. So it has a rigid wire framework that is soldered to first premolar and molar bands both buccally and palatally. The palatal extension consists 1.2 mm diameter wire that are incorporated in an acrylic plate that contains expansion screw in the midline. Now, what is the principle of these appliances? The basic principle of these appliances involves the generation of forces that are capable of splitting the mid palatal suture. So the force generated are close to 10 to 20 pounds. Expansion of 0.2 to 0.5 mm should be achieved per day. So another MCQ, the RME appliance force generated are close to 10 to 20 pounds and expansion of 0.2 to 0.5 mm should be achieved per day, and the screw is activated at between 0.5 to 1 mm per day, and about 1 centimeter of expansion can be expected in 2 to 3 weeks. Now, according to Tim, he has suggested the activation of 90-degree morning and evening for the patient up to age of 15 years. In patient above this age, he suggested an activation of 45-degree 4 times a day, whereas Isaacson recommended 2 turns per day. Initially 4 to 5 days, followed by 1 turn in a growing individual. For the adults, the recommended 2 turns each for first 2 days, followed by 1 turn per day for next 5 to 7 days, and then only 1 turn every alternate day till the desired expansion is achieved. Now next is slow expansion device. Slow expansion device involves the use of less forces, that is 2 to 4 pounds over longer period, that is 2 to 6 months, to achieve the desired results. Now indication of slow expansion to, for the correction of unilateral crossbite, for correction of V-shape arches like in thumb suckers, and preparation of bone grafts in cleft cases. Now what are the appliances that can be used in slow expansion cases? The first is the coffin spring. Now the coffin spring, this appliance is capable of producing slow expansion. So even though it has been shown to split the palate, especially when it is used in early mixed dentition, it is ideal appliance to treat unilateral crossbite. So you can clearly see this omega shape wire with the base of omega placed posteriorly in the midline, and two separate acrylic wings are made around the wire framework on the slope of the palate. So these contains the retentive clasp. So how will you activate this coffin spring? Simply by pulling the wings apart activates the appliance. So this should be done in which region? Another question for your MCQ. It should be first done in premolar region and then in the molar region. So it can be activated using a 3-prong plier. So a 3-prong plier will at the base of omega. They are rarely used as they tend to distort the spring. Now next is quad helix. Quad helix has evolved from the coffin spring. Quad helix consists of two anterior and two posterior helix. So this one are the 1 and 2. These are the two anterior helix and these are the two posterior helix. This is third and the fourth helix. The portion of wire in between the two anterior helix is known as anterior bridge, and the posterior helices are known as palatal bridge. So this is the anterior bridge and this is the palatal bridge. The free wire tends the free wire ends that are usually adapted close to the premolar teeth are the outer arms. So the outer arms are soldered to the molar band. So this appliance is capable of producing differential expansion. So it can be activated to produce different expansions level in premolar and molar region. So how will you activate it? It can be activated prior to cementation of band by stretching. You have to stretch the molar band. So when the anterior bridge is adjusted, the molar expansion is produced, and when the palatal bridges are activated, the premolar and canine region get expanded. Now next is the night eye expander. So the latest in the series of expander are the night eye expander. They make use of high flexibility of the nickel titanium alloy to produce gentle expanding force in the range of 300 to 350 grams. Now night eye expander will produce a force of 300 to 350 gram. So they are available in various size and can be inserted into the lingual sheet welding onto the molar band. Now next is the Schwartz appliance. What is this appliance? It is a horseshoe shape removable appliance that fit along the lingual border of the mandibular dentition and is capable of expanding the mandibular arch. So its inferior border extends below the gingiva along with the lingual gingival margin. It has an expansion screw in the midline and it is retained by the ball clasp. Now this is the ball clasp. So the appliance is activated once a week and produce expansion of 0.25 in the midline. So it is ideally indicated in early mixed dentition cases with mild to moderate crowding in the mandibular anterior region with significant lingual tipping of the posterior dentition. Now going to the MCQ. The first MCQ is which of the following is the new slow type of palatal expander? Now this Hyrax expander is example of rapid maxillary expansion. So it is ruled out. The other is quad helix and Nitai expander. These both are type of slow palatal expander. Now remember, quad helix was described by Ricketts and is said to be have evolved from original Coffin's W spring, whereas these Nitai expander are developed in 1993 by RDT. So this appliance is new type and is capable of uniform, slow, continuous force. So in other words, as the palate expands, the regeneration of bone matches the rate of expansion. So the action of Nitai expander is made possible by property of its shape, memory and transition temperature. So your answer will be Nitai expander. Now another thing that you have to remember is continuous force of 230 gram to 300 gram is used in Nitai expander. Second question, it is available in 8 intermolar width ranging from 26 to 47 mm, and it is based on third question, it is based on shape, memory and super elasticity of Nitai. Now fourth question that can be asked in your entrance exam, it has capacity to rotate, upright, distalize and expand the anterior and posterior arch. Now next question, the appliance of choice for RME is, now the appliance, remember quad helix is example of slow maxillary expansion, coffin spring is example of slow maxillary expansion, option C Hyrax is a rapid maxillary expansion. So another question they can ask is, what is the full form of Hyrax? It is hygiene rapid expander, so that is important. Now here is that question, Hyrax stands for, it stands for hygiene rapid expander. Now rapid palatal expansion using a Hyrax is example of it is example of a reciprocal anchorage. Now what is reciprocal anchorage? It refers to resistance offered by two milepost unit when equal and opposite forces tends to move towards each other. Example of reciprocal anchorage includes closure of a midline diastema, that is moving the two central incisors toward each other, and also the use of cross-bite elastic and dental arch expansion are other example of reciprocal anchorage. A distinctive clinical manifestation of successful rapid maxillary expansion is, it is midline diastema. So in order to the mid palatine suture will get open up in a fan shaped opening with maximum opening at the incisal side and minimum at the posterior side. So you can see a midline diastema by using rapid maxillary expansion. A 12-year-old boy was subjected to RME for correction of bilateral posterior crossbite. The maximum separation of mid-palatine sutures will occur. It will occur between the two central incisors. Now, mid-palatal suture split into rapid maxillary expansion in following manner. It is wider anteriorly and narrow down the posteriorly.